Hi folks, Mythic ODM here. Today I thought we'd shine a little bit of light on some fun things happening in Paizo's lore. So as you may not be aware, last August, Paizo announced the War of the Immortals rulebook coming out in October of this year. Along with that, they ran a short playtest for the Animist and the Exemplar classes in September of 2023. Now, along with this came the news that Paizo was going to kill off one of the major gods or goddesses of the Lost Omens lore. Needless to say, the community is passionate about their gods, and the conversations around which one will die and how many folks will riot if X god gets killed, it's been very, very fun. It's a much needed lighthearted conversation with the fans. So let's start with a bit of real world history lesson. There are chapter markers below if you want to hop around a bit and get into some specific subjects. So last year, Wizards of the Coast set off a firestorm with attempting to remove the OGL and put publishers using their rule set or any parts of it into a draconian contract that would have seen 25% of their revenue given to Wizards of the Coast as royalty fees. Needless to say, that did not sit well with the community and the publishers. That led to many spin-off games that do not use the OGL from Wizards of the Coast, firing up, such as Tales of the Valiant from Cobalt Press, MDCM RPG, and others. So Paizo followed suit, and in March of 2023 announced that they would have Pathfinder Remastered out within the year. One of the most notable changes to this rule set was removing alignment and using the edicts and anathemas instead. Now, edicts are what a god would like to see their followers do, and anathemas are things the gods feel are counter to what they hold dear. Well, when you remove alignments, things start to get weird. There's no more law and chaos, good, evil, etc. And people are just what they hold dear to them, and kind of a more moral code if you were to think of it that way. So that led to the planes needing to be rewritten and some classes needing a major overhaul, and they were postponed until July of 2024 in the Player Core 2. And the monsters were even reworked, and you can see that in the Dragons section of their blog, as they no longer have chromatic and metallic. They don't follow law and chaos and good and evil, but they follow the magic disciplines of arcane, divine, occult, and primal. So how to implement such a paradigm shift in the rules is something that Paizo loves to do through lore. They did this when they switched from Pathfinder 1st Edition to Pathfinder 2nd Edition. And now with the Remastered out, they're tackling the alignment issue with the War of the Immortals rulebook and likely some novels as well. So over the past few weeks, and this will go on for 10 weeks total, Paizo is releasing a teaser blog called the Godsrain Prophecies. Now, these are released on Wednesdays, and we have 4 so far as of this recording, each written kind of with a different tone, a different slant on a specific god, and more importantly, how they will die according to the prophecy. Now, these are written as false prophecies as to which gods may die during the novel and other projects that will be announced in April. There are 20 core gods, and among them, very many minor ones. Going from left to right on the picture, from top to bottom, we have Aristil, the god of farming, hunting, family, and trade. Iomedia, the goddess of honor, justice, rulership, and valor. Torag, the dwarven god of the forge, protector, and strategy. Sarenrae, the goddess of the sun, redemption, honesty, and healing. Shaylin, the goddess of art, beauty, love, and music. Cayden, the god of freedom, ale, wine, and bravery. Desna, the goddess of dreams, luck, stars, and travelers. Abadar, the god of cities, law, merchants, and wealth. Aurori, the god of enlightenment, self-perfection, knowledge, healing, and inner strength. Gozith, the god of nature, weather, and the sea. Nethys, the god of magic, who has a website built around the entire archives of him. Pharasma, the god of birth, death, fate, prophecy, and rebirth. Calistria, the goddess of lust and revenge. Gorum, the god of battle. Asmodues, the god of contracts, slavery, pride, and tyranny. Zon-Kuthon, the god of darkness, envy, loss, and pain. Norgorber, god of greed, secrets, poison, and murder. Urgathoa, goddess of gluttony, disease, and undeath. Lamashtu, the mother of monsters, nightmares, madness, and aberrance. And Ravagug, the god of wrath, disaster, and destruction. They're giving us 10 that will be considered safe from the death that will be coming this year. The other 10 will be an interesting debate in the community for a while. Now, the Godsrain Prophecies are read from the annotations of Yavali, an apprentice researcher, and a Gnosis, basically a scribe or a death's messenger, for the Lady of Graves, one of the titles of Pharasma. The first prophecy we learned about was that of Pharasma herself, the goddess of death. It was written in a kind of what-if style. What if the goddess of death actually died? So if she were to die, what would happen to the souls in the River of Sorrows? Resurrections would falter. Clerics and others who fight undead see their power wane. To me, this will end up being a very interesting choice if the prophecies prove true, as seeing as how the gods are going to deal with the power vacuum that would come from the death of death, and the mother of souls. So the next up was an odds-on favorite to be killed off due to some of the ties with the OGL and D&D, and that is Asmodeus. Although the reasoning has some validity, Asmodeus has been in religious lore for hundreds of years. So no, he's not the written works of Wizards of the Coast. Aaron Roberts, the author of these prophecies, speaking as Yavali, starts the prophecy with the counter-argument that not all of these can be false, and one of them may very well be true, which still means that someone in this group of 10 is still up for a death. And I absolutely love that fact. So even if your favorite god shows up in the next few weeks, it just might be kind of a psych out from the Paizo team. Now, with Asmodeus, it speaks to who would take over, which is Aias, who is one of the first deities and brother to Asmodeus. Now, he has no worshippers, no areas of concern, and is actually not in the player core rulebook at all. It speaks of his plans to remove the harshest of contract clauses, and the ruin that may come to the nation of Cheliax, whose devotion to Asmodeus has kept them in power for ages, and so much more. So maybe the death of Asmodeus would be beneficial in the long run. We'll have to wait and see. Now, if this one is a true prophecy, it would not really surprise me as much as any of the others, just due to the fact that his name is also used in D&D. And with Paizo wanting to step as far away from anything that could be considered OGL, this one is still at the top of my chopping list. The third prophecy would likely come to a lot of relief to many in the community. So community favorite, the drunk god Cayden. Cayden rose to godhood through the test of the Starstone and basically started telling folks in the tavern that he was a god, and then everyone started believing it, and it became so. So like all great stories, he took the trial of the Starstone on a drunken bet. Now, it is a great story to read if you have the time. This prophecy tells more of Cayden becoming immortal again and not really dying in that sense. And everything he did to become a god was, merely a lie, a good story. And those that worship him would stop doing so as they don't want to become kind of complacent in that kind of lie. So I do truly think he's safe. I think he's one of the biggest fan favorites, and even one of our own players in the Kingsmaker series that you can watch over on my Twitch channel. They worship. Fourth prophecy was written about Urgathoa, the goddess of gluttony, death, and undeath, and her untimely death by the hands of Aranzi, the goddess of the abused, dignity, and unwilling undeath during a feast that the goddess of gluttony holds every now and then. As to why Aranzi did this, it was her attempt to remove the undead part of the world, which kind of happens at first according to the prophecy, but then any soul that perishes rises as an undead, much to her absolute horror and those around her. With no goddess to actually control this kind of chaos, people begin to turn into undead, without even the need of necromancy, and the undead kind of flood Golarian. The undead overrun pretty much everything, and Aranzi has no idea how to stop it, nor do any of the gods, she asks, as they're too busy dealing with the fallout. Now, I do love that Paizo is drawing in their other minor gods into the prophecies as well, and it's not just a story about the top 20. It really showcases the depth of their lore. Now, we have to wait 6 more weeks of prophecies, which runs until April, and then the release of the novel about the War of Immortals, and likely more primers for the rulebook in October. Now, the reason for this is to help with the shift in Pathfinder Remastered, as I said, away from alignments and towards the gods having just the specific edicts and anathemas that I've been spoken about in the lead-up videos to the release of the remastered books. So no more are the planes being aligned to good, evil, chaos, lawful, and everything in between. Now it's based on the areas the gods are concerned with, and a plane that a god can be on could have even those who are both sanctified as holy and unholy, depending on how the god views their worshippers. So it's an elegant way to broach the subject of removal of alignments and give a story reason about it, and not just a rule set in the player's core rulebook and then just telling people, live with it. So if you have time to read over these posts, they take only a few minutes each. And I do encourage you all to do so. The Pathfinder Wiki has all the information about these gods that you may want to look over. And if you're dipping your toes into the world of Golarian, I would suggest taking a look. So I'll leave links down below to the blogs and the link to the Pathfinder wiki. So what do you think about the Godsrain Prophecies? Do you have a guess as to which god will die and why? What are your thoughts on the removal of alignment overall? I'd love to hear some of your thoughts about it in the comments. But that is all for me today, guys. Thank you for watching, and remember to hit that like button, subscribe for more content, and even hit that bell for notifications on new videos. In the meantime, and in between time, may all your games be full of myth, mirth, and magic. Bye for now.